Hi, I'm Gigi Duban, and on this episode of Alabama Inc., we're talking Bitcoin and whether it might just be the next big moneymaker. Pat Duggan sits down with Dottie King. She heads up the King Consultant Group, a company helping businesses stash away ridiculous amounts of money. And Susan Fant is back again. She tells Josh how to make your website easy on the eyes when using a mobile device. It's all coming up next on Alabama Inc. You win some, you lose some, right? That's kind of the way it is with Bitcoin. Not sure what it is? Consider this Bitcoin 101. Here you'll meet people who've made plenty of cash trading Bitcoin, and others who haven't been so lucky. Here's a look at this strange alternative currency. You could call Eclipse Coffee and Books your typical college town coffee shop. It's right near the University of Montevallo, so you get a lot of students coming in to get online, study, and of course, eat. It was like a lot of hangouts, except at Eclipse Coffee and Books, you could pay with Bitcoin. You guys took Bitcoins for a time.
Yes.
What made you decide to do that?
Well, I was saying earlier, I'm so unhip that I think I first learned about Bitcoin on an episode of The Good Wife. I read about them, and I thought, this is cool. Think how cool we'd look if we took Bitcoin. So I just started the account at the place you find out about online, and I put up a sign that said, "We accept Bitcoin," and started getting some traction. People came in and started buying things with Bitcoin, and I guess we got up to about $100 worth of product out the door in Bitcoin, and so we started watching the fluctuations of Bitcoin value. And then it went up, our $100 was worth over 1,000. And
Exciting.
we both said, sell! And so we sold, and our Bitcoin speculation career had started.
This was pretty exciting for University of Montevallo student Daniel Deriso. He was one of the first customers at Eclipse to pay for something with Bitcoin. All right, so you'd walk in here and you would be looking to get something to eat. You've got some Bitcoins. How does that work?
You just have an app on your phone, and you would open up your Bitcoin wallet, and it would have your balance on it. You just scan the QR code, just like that, and then type in the amount that you want to make, or that you want to pay, and then you get your food. Did you do it a lot? I did it a couple times. I probably spent around 30 or 40 bucks in Bitcoin here.
And I mean, like, how many other shops around here took Bitcoin?
This is the only one.
This is the only one.
This is one of the only places in Alabama that took Bitcoin at the time. There was a website, it mapped out every place in America that took Bitcoin, and there was just one dot in Alabama, and that was Eclipse. Yeah.
Even the most hardcore Bitcoin enthusiasts will tell you how risky it is. You could say Cheryl and Michael Patton were early adopters, and they paid a price. Mt. Gox, the Bitcoin exchange that the Pattons used to handle their Bitcoin transactions, went bankrupt. It lost almost $500 million, money that customers like the Pattons had invested. The site looks different. Okay, so walk me through this.
Well, this is not what the site used to look like. It used to give your trading information and all sorts of things. And then the day it went bankrupt, there was just it was crashed. It was down for a few days.
Right, could not log on at all.
And then there was a sign of, "We'll be back soon." And then this came up. And you can see most of it's not in English.
Sounds like a bunch of legalese.
Uh-huh.
I read it as you're not getting any money
I was going to
back.
say, it sounds like you're out of luck, pal. And what went through your mind at that point?
Basically, oh well.
Yeah, I went and took the signs down saying we took accept Bitcoin. I did that pretty fast.
We knew it was pretty speculative.
Right.
I
We
mean,
never put any cash into it. I mean, it was some product, and we were trying to keep it at a manageable level so that if we lost it, it wasn't a big deal. And yeah, we lost $1,000 technically, but it's $100 worth of product. And we got that much publicity out of it at the time.
And talking to Daniel, it was clear, I mean, the prices were going from $25 one day to $300 per Bitcoin the next day, and then back down. And it was just like the Wild West speculating, or maybe 1929 Wall Street speculation. But once it hit 1,000, it was like, yay! But
it would have been nice to have the actual cash, but
yeah,
it's
but it
not.
felt kind of just that our greed was punished. But
you Wall Street people.
Exactly.
we're waiting for the bailout now.
Still, even with stories like this, plenty of people will not be deterred. The guys who run this Birmingham Bitcoin meetup group say it's still a great way to do business, buy stuff, and even make money. They meet during the week to talk and maybe console each other. Eric Park, who heads up the group, puts it like this.
You have banks, and you have the post office, right? You had post office and you had email, right? So it made the post office a little bit less needed.
Right.
So with Bitcoin, you're basically your own bank. Bitcoin to the banks is basically like email to the post office.
And those price fluctuations, not that big a deal.
Throughout Bitcoin's history, they've gone up in price and then they've corrected a bit, then it's gone up again and corrected.
It's just kind of the way it is.
It's just a cycle.
It's just kind of the way it is.
Yeah. Especially being such a small economy, not a lot of people in it yet, it's going to have a lot of fluctuations like that.
So can Bitcoin go from being this obscure alternative currency to the mainstream? Eric Park thinks so. But the value is constantly changing. So if you took your Bitcoin to the nearest fast food joint, he says, expect the menu prices to look different.
Okay.
Common practice is you're not going to be able to walk into McDonald's and see a printed menu that has static Bitcoin prices on it.
If only.
But what you would see was those prices would be changing throughout the day.
Right.
So depending on what time you walked in, the price will be fluctuating only because it's tied to the U.S. dollar.
Yeah.
Still confused? That's okay. It's a lot like playing the stock market. How much risk are you willing to take?
At a time when some people are thinking about planning for their retirement, Dottie King of Birmingham was coming up with a whole new business, the King Consulting Group and its Insight software. Here's how she got from here to there. When you got your math degree from Samford back in the late 1960s, it would seem like, in Birmingham back then, it would be like, okay, this lady's going to go off and be a teacher, that sort of thing. When you decided to go into the world of business, I mean, was anybody saying, what?
No, actually, the math degree and the physics degree proved to be great benefits to me. It opened a lot of doors that were not normally open for women and provided opportunities that proved very beneficial, long-term and short-term.
Well, whenever we do these kind of entrepreneur-style interviews, the catchphrase that we always throw around is, we're going to find out how this person got from here to there. Now, your there kind of came, you left the phone company and decided to go into business consulting at, it was at about an age that a lot of people are thinking about, like, their careers winding down, retirement, that sort of thing. So was it scary at all, or were anybody saying, gee, this is a funny time to be changing careers or stuff like that?
No, it wasn't particularly scary. It seemed to be the best decision at the time. I also had the advantage of a business partner who had been my colleague at Bell South. So although it was not plan B or C, it was really plan Q, we were both just fascinated with the variety that we found there.
A nonprofit goes to a big corporation and says, I'd like for you to invest a certain amount of money in whatever nonprofit activity they're doing. And one of the things that you do is to sort of maximize the benefit from that so that a business can look and see, oh, well, this is where our money is going. How exactly do you do that?
Well, first of all, there is enormous incentive to do that because there is so much competition for funding now. The way to garner that kind of support is to show you're doing a great job. That means you objectively measure the outcomes of your various programs, and then if you want to do so, you can actually monetize those outcomes so that the donor, whether it's a large organization or an individual, can actually see the return on their investment.
So along comes the recession, and all of a sudden a new facet of your business comes along, and that's helping individuals with their retirement planning. How did this come about?
It really came about as an effect of the recession itself. I lost a substantial portion of my client base because they simply were pulling in their cash reserves and not hiring consultants any longer. And at that time, I started giving really significant consideration to retirement. And when I looked for some information, for example, about what's the best time to take Social Security, I could not find any information that was specific to me. And so I developed a little spreadsheet.
Okay, Dottie, now as I understand the way this works is your client base, this computer kind of starts at age 55, so why is that?
The program is aimed at people who are 55 and older because that essentially is the time when you start making serious decisions about retirement. Not when you start saving, hopefully, but when you start, it's really on the horizon by that time. Also, there's a possibility that legislation will change things for people who are younger than 55, although I continue to believe that the baby boomers are pretty safe.
Okay, so with the 55-year-olds out there, that sort of thing, how does this setup work?
Well, this Social Security tool requires only 6 bits of information input. Your name, and that's just for reference, your birth month, your birth year, and the estimated benefits from your most current Social Security benefits statement, listing what you would receive at age 62 when you first become eligible, what you receive at your standard age, whatever that is, and it varies between 66 and 67 currently, and lastly, what your benefits would be at age 70. All right, based on an anticipated benefit, monthly benefit at standard age of $2,625, then if you choose to receive benefits beginning at age 62, you will actually forego almost $7,900. Wow. Similarly, if you wait until age 70 as opposed to taking benefits at standard age, there's actually a gain of $10,080 per year.
So assuming that we were talking earlier about, like, some people say, well, I can get my benefits at 62, so why not just kind of jump in there and do that? But I believe you were thinking earlier that it's not a good idea to do that?
Well, and not in every case, no. No. For some people, yes, it would be a good decision. For others, not. Again, I don't tell people what to do. I don't even give advice. I provide information so that they can make informed decisions.
Without naming names, what's the biggest mistake that you see your clients making?
That they don't know what drives their cost. They have no idea what functions, which clients, which products or services are really generating and driving the cost within their company. So they have no way of adequately and objectively understanding where their profitability lies.
When you're dealing with individuals, what is the biggest retirement mistake that you see people making?
That they don't have objective or even adequate information to make an informed decision. It's a knee-jerk reaction often. I'm going to take Social Security at 62 when I first become eligible because Social Security might go away. I think if you're a baby boomer, that is very, very unlikely as long as you can get your wheelchair into the voting booth.
The trend seems to be like, at least that I've heard of, is that some people are saying, okay, well, I'm reaching retirement age, but I really don't feel like retiring, so I'm going to kind of like sort of retire, but kind of sort of stay in the workforce. And how is that complicating what you do?
Actually, it's not complicating it at all. It really opens up a lot more options for my clients, because if they continue to work, even if they work only part-time, then they continue to contribute to Social Security benefits. They also delay taking benefits, which means they are going to collect more each month. And that can wind up being over $10,000 a year. The wonderful thing about Social Security is it's a fabulous investment. It's one that never loses its value. And so we all want to optimize the value that it offers to us.
If you had one piece of free advice that you wanted to give people in terms of making their retirement work, it would be what?
To consider all of your situation and your obligations, to look at all of your options, and to see what provides you with the most benefit over time. Of course, you have to make some assumptions that you will live to be a certain age, that you might or might not need long-term care, that your spouse might not need long-term care, that you don't have responsibilities that would diminish your assets dramatically. But again, just make sure you have lots of objective information, that you've investigated multiple options, not just 2 or 3.
Each week on Alabama Inc., we bring in one of our show experts to talk with correspondent Josh Sneed. Our expert gives Josh a top 5 list, and Josh takes it from there. Susan Fant is here again from the Culver House Business School, and she's giving away all the secrets to slick websites that look just as good on phones and tablets.
Have you noticed a dip in viewers on your Chihuahua's blog? It might be because your site isn't set up for mobile devices. Our media expert, Susan Fant, is here today to tell you how to fix it. Because why deny the world another picture of Roscoe in a tutu? All right, Susan, welcome back again.
Thanks for having me, Josh.
Good. So we're going to talk about making a website more mobile friendly.
That's right. This is a little bit more of an advanced topic. However, if you're a company, business, or you can even have your own personal website.
Yeah, so it could be like a personal blog or something like that.
Exactly. Having it mobile friendly is a great option.
Yeah, because in the world of 80-inch screens surrounding us at all times, a lot of people, you'll find a lot of people still, watching movies on their phones.
That's right. So a lot of people do watch movies on their phone. A lot of people surf the internet while they're at the movies on their phones.
If it's something real quick that you want to Google or look up or something,
exactly,
you pull your phone out. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, so this is kind of important.
It is important.
It's interesting.
Absolutely.
All right, you ready to jump in?
I'm ready to jump in.
All right, well, let's start with number 5. What you got?
All right, the number 5 way to make your website more mobile friendly is to think about what your website looks like on your own smartphone.
Yeah, it sounds like an obvious point, but you're right. A lot of people just say, oh, we'll just transfer it over and people will figure it out.
That's right.
But if you're having to shift it all over the place, it's kind of annoying, right?
That's right. So a lot of people will not even really think about what their website looks like when they pick up their own smartphone and go, oh, well, it's fine. It's out there in website land. Yeah. And really, website land is right here in front of us right now. So being able to understand what does it look like on my phone, what are other people going to see when they go on the site. So when I work with clients and when I work with people that come to the school to work with our social media group, I really run them through what are audience members looking for on your site. And have them
I'll tell you what I'm looking for. I don't want to have to find a little bitty link on a thing and you have to like zoom in or zooming out.
That's right. That would actually bring us to number 4.
Okay, what is it?
All right, number 4 is to make your website responsive. There's such a thing as responsive websites. And so responsive websites understand when somebody is looking at your website on a desktop or laptop, or if they're looking at it on a mobile smartphone.
Oh, okay, so it just kind of knows.
That's right. That's right. So when somebody goes to the website and they're on a mobile smartphone, it'll go to the mobile website. And there's no more pinching, grabbing, moving on your cell phone. All of a sudden,
you just have to scroll to find what you need.
That's right. You see exactly what you need. You have menus, you have big text. You don't have to put on your reading glasses to be able to actually read the site or get a magnifying glass out. Instead, it's right there. And many web service providers can do this for you. So if you've had your website designed with a local business, call them up and ask them about having a mobily responsive website.
That's that's what I was going to ask. Is this like a huge cost that a company or even a person has to incur?
It depends on the company itself, obviously. I would be looking to spend anywhere between $1,000 to $10,000 based on the size of the site. So sometimes you don't want every page ever on your site on the mobile site. You really just want 1 or 2 pages. That's going to cost less. And that brings us to number 2.
And what is that?
The number 2 thing that you can do to make your website more mobile friendly is to utilize social media and Google.
Okay.
So if someone's already on Facebook on their phone, or they're on the Facebook app on their phone, or Twitter, if you have your information right there on your commercial, on your billboard, they can get to your information that way too. So they don't necessarily have to go directly to your website, because Facebook and Twitter already have these apps that are mobile responsive and that people can see on their cell phones.
So what you're saying is, since they're already outfitted for mobile, I can just, leave my MySpace page the way it is and let them do all the work.
Absolutely, if you're still on MySpace. I don't know how many more people are on MySpace,
There's
though.
a few of us,
yeah?
and we're working hard.
That's wonderful.
Because it's going to come back, and you're going to be embarrassed. The number 1 way to get your site ready for mobile devices.
The number 1 way to get your site ready for mobile devices is to know your goal.
Right.
You have to have a call for action on your website. Now, regardless of whether it's a responsive website or if it's something that's not as responsive, if you know what you want your viewer to do, they're going to do it.
So it's not necessarily like a site that's selling something. It could be anything.
Right. So it could be a site that's selling something. It could be a site that's asking you to volunteer. It could be a food blog. Whatever you want your viewer to do, it should be upfront on that site on the homepage. So it's very easy for them to see it and do what you want.
All right. Okay, so if you're trying to get the word out about MySpace,
that's right.
You just say, hey, click here, go to MySpace.
Exactly. And then they can also join you on MySpace, and I'll be embarrassed later on.
That's right. It's going to come full circle, and you're going to be in the cold.
What can I say?
Okay, all right. So that was it.
All right.
Top 5 ways to get your website ready for mobile.
Top 5 ways to get your website ready for mobile.
Okay, you're all done. I appreciate you coming in again.
Thanks so much, Josh.
That's our show for this week. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Keep up with the stories we're working on and tell us what you think. I'm Gigi Duban, and we'll see you next time on Alabama Ink.